So The Walking Dead returned to our screens on Monday, Sunday if you're from the US, and I've watched this show since it started, so that's come up to 9 long years religiously watching The Walking Dead. To begin with, The Walking Dead was hugely different to any TV show I'd seen before. The scale of the show was that of a feature film, but also having more depth than any zombie apocalypse story has had before, focusing on the human element of the characters and looking at how this changing world would affect us, instead of just focusing on the escape aspect of the zombie story. In recent years, however, the show has become stale, poor writing and declining viewership has seen the show become tired, with uninteresting stories to tell and fairly little interesting ideas being put on the screen. A massive shame for a show which began so different and revolutionary. The Walking Dead seems like it's more interested in stretching out each season and telling concise stories, with story arcs lasting over multiple seasons. The Walking Dead now finds itself in a very peculiar position, with 2 main characters confirmed to leave, one being the lead and the central focus of the show, Rick Grimes, played by Andrew Lincoln, the other being Maggie Greene, played by Lauren Cohn, who first appeared in season 2, so 2 long-serving characters. I can't really remember a time where The Walking Dead has confirmed characters to leave the series, and if they have, certainly not main characters. This gives Series 9 a fairly weird feeling, as the audience now knows something is going to happen with these characters, and it is taking a sense of surprise from our characters' demise and more of a curiosity if the moments when we see these characters in peril is where they'll finally meet their demise. I'm still undecided whether this takes away from the show or actually benefits it. The tension I felt in the season 9 opening episode, which is actually fairly good, is tension. I haven't felt this in The Walking Dead in years, which I think we can all agree on has steadily declined in quality. But what I want to focus on in this video is the characters of The Walking Dead and how they've been written incorrectly for The Walking Dead, and if The Walking Dead can actually survive without their lead character, Rick Grimes. But first, let's look back at the first few seasons of The Walking Dead. Definitely the best seasons, definitely 1 to 3 were excellent seasons. Rick Grimes in the early seasons was built as a man of great integrity and values. He doesn't want to kill and is always looking to help people. He is the classic everyman, and a character which audiences can relate to. As the show progressed and Rick went on more adventures and suffered many hardships, we began to see a change in character. Rick became far harsher and slowly began to compromise his values in order to keep his family safe. It was quite a powerful message, showing a character which audiences could see themselves in became darker due to the deteriorating world around him, and making the realization it is kill or be killed. This change began around the middle of season 2, where Rick makes his first kill of another human. It is quite a poignant moment and definitely hits hard. As the show progressed into the end of season 4 to the start of season 5, Rick became far darker and showed little to no remorse for killing. It becomes second nature to Rick and something that he deals with in everyday life. Still, I enjoyed this show very much up to the end of season 5. The character had finally deteriorated, and this world had got the better of him and finally changed him at the core. I think this can be compared to the change we see in Breaking Bad with Walter White to Heisenberg. Probably not on the same critical scale or done as well, but it's fairly similar. The season 1 character of Rick Grimes is completely different to the season 5 character, and essentially it is someone new on screen. Each season of The Walking Dead has what I like to call the moral compass character. Season 1 it's Rick Grimes, making sure people withhold their values and maintain a civilized world. Season 2, as Rick starts to become darker, it is Dale. And I know he was written poorly and he's just basically a very irritating character, but he still is the moral compass and tries to keep everyone in check and maintain some civilized way of life. With season 3 to 4, well, half of it, it's Hershel. I felt the point of these characters was always to question our lead and pull him back when he starts to deteriorate. After Hershel's death, we lose the moral compass character, and we see the effect it has on all of our characters as they all begin to lose their values and a sense of who they are, with killing without hesitation or remorse. Without that character questioning what they're doing as a group, we truly see the deterioration of everyone around. This is basically the tone for season 5, which I on the whole enjoyed massively. It was great to see where our characters have ended up, and it was scary to see Rick, a clean cut everyman, turn into what could even be considered an antagonist at times. The problem though then begins with the length of no moral compass character being evident until season 8. This depressing tone of The Walking Dead had wore very thin. Now we have a huge group of characters and they are all basically the same. They are now remorseless killers. It started to feel this show wanted to focus on getting as many cool kills into it as possible instead of actually focusing on human elements. People, while yes, in the setting of the Walking Dead world, would lose a sense of who they are as a person, but you would like to think people still would hold on to something human within them. The writers did realise that this was becoming a fairly depressing storyline, that everyone in the group basically had no morals and were essentially no longer protagonists and could be seen as antagonists. So a decision was made for a character to show some sort of moral compass and bring our characters out of this depressing situation. The character chosen was Carl Grimes, an excellent choice. With the death though of Carl Grimes, Rick Grimes has now assumed the role of the moral compass. He has returned to his everyman roots, shown in season 1 and 2, and is trying to pull other people in the group out of the depressing situation that they were all in. He still has that dark edge to him, but this is a natural character development, and the character shouldn't be as clean cut as he was before and have that darker tone about him. However, the problem The Walking Dead faces now is once Rick Grimes leaves The Walking Dead, a new leader will have to take control of the group, introducing us to a new main character. The Walking Dead ruined its chances with the death of one character, Carl Grimes. Robert Kirkman has already said in his comic book of The Walking Dead, Carl will become the natural leader of the group, and Carl for most of season 8 appeared to be being built up as the new leader. He had become a very brave character, was already leading the group through certain situations, whilst Rick was otherwise incapacitated, and shown he is now that moral compass and shown that he now has that moral compass and no longer wanted everyone fighting and wanted the communities to work together. And then for some reason, Carl was killed off sadly. Such a bizarre choice for the writers to make. Carl overtaking the group would have felt like a very natural progression of the character. Starting off as a scared child who this world corrupts due to his young age, and he becomes a remorseless killer with no empathy at all, to realising that what he's doing isn't right and that he needs to have some values and some integrity and help his father come out of the darkness he was in, and once he passes away, overtake the group and carry on what Rick would have wanted the group to build upon. Through observing his father throughout his ordeal, being protected by him and seeing him as the fearless leader he is, he could then take the values and be the next generation of leader. Seeing this character grow over 9 to 10 seasons and being the new leader would have felt very natural story arc. The Walking Dead at its core is focused on the Grimes family, and with the death of Carl and the departure and probable eventual death of Rick, The Walking Dead will in my opinion be completely separate from the comic book series it is adapted from, sharing only the name. The Walking Dead now faces the task of creating a new leader of the group, pulling one of the characters out of their current situation, probably being Daryl as the new main, and making them that moral compass, everyman leader that audiences can connect with. The Walking Dead now needs to find a new character and characterize them completely different. It's going to be a huge uphill task for The Walking Dead now, as the writing has really put them into a corner, and now characters are going to have to act out of their characterization, and this will confuse audiences. And for me, in my opinion, because of Carl Grimes' death, The Walking Dead can no longer continue past Rick Grimes leaving. Sadly, I think we will now be seeing the end of this show in the coming years, as I feel the quality will truly deteriorate and it will no longer be the show that we all fell in love with at the start. I think Carl Grimes should have become the natural leader of the group in The Walking Dead, and the lack of having no moral compass character throughout many seasons of The Walking Dead has been very detrimental to the quality, and sadly this looks like the end of The Walking Dead. Thank you for watching.